Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second vlog, or more of like a training vlog from my upper body workout. This is gonna be like a basic, I don't know, what am I supposed to say? Yeah, oops, think so, I misedited that video. No, it's well on point. Yeah, but this is gonna be like the second episode from my training footage. As you can see, this is my upper body workout, So before I start off any particular exercise, if it's like a new movement pattern, I tend to do something like 2 to 3 warm up sets, So the exercise over here is going to be like a dumbbell press. I technically tend to do 2 warm up sets, 2 to 3, depending on how I feel. In case if it's a bad day, then I technically tend to do more warm up sets because it takes me longer to get warmed up. But if it's a good day, I tend to do more warm up sets. As simple as that. So my warm-up pattern technically goes like this. Let's probably say if my working weight is 30 kilos, which in this particular exercise is 30 kilos, I do 50% of the weight at 50% of my working reps, then 70% of the weight at like 50% of the reps of my first warm-up set. So if I did 6 reps in the first warm-up set, I'll probably do 3 reps basically. As you can see, I go through a full range of motion, like Mike Israel style, like literally dumbbells to my chest. I don't really do a traditional flat press. I technically tend to do a 20-degree incline. So yeah, because that helps me with stability. That's not going to make that much of a big difference. I just feel my chest fire up far more better on a 20-degree incline press compared to like a traditional flat dumbbell press. Now this is probably like my third warm up set. This is not my third warm up set. This is my first working set. So as you can see, I am doing 30 reps at 8 repetitions, and I ensure that my forearm is in the line of gravity. Basically, the tempo for this exercise, which is the speed of the lift, is technically 3 seconds on the way down, 1 second on the way up. So the way you're supposed to count your 3 seconds on the way down is like this: like 3 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi, boom. That's basically it. Now, on the way up, it slows down, but yeah, I try to maintain a nice arch in my spine, try to keep my shoulder blades back, and it's as simple as that. That was my first set. Now, I tend to do 3 sets of this, and I work it within the 6 to 12 rep range, and I do try to hit the upper end of the rep range, so yeah. And this is going to be the last set of my particular exercise. Now, last time I hit like 6 reps from my notes, so this time my aim is probably to hit like 7 reps. A few tools that I do actually use is I visualize actually hitting my reps before the workout, before the particular set exercise kicks in. You know, I take my own sweet time. Sometimes I add in like 30 seconds extra rest, but it's as simple as that. Not, let's probably say if you need some more extra time before the set begins, go and take it because performance is key. So yeah, this is just me psyching myself up psychologically, and boom, there you go. I provided a nice angle just so that you can see how deep I go, and I usually count my reps right from the first rep onwards. So that's the 2, and there you go. That's a 3, and yep, that's a 4. I think so. I'm messing around with the tempo a little bit. That's a 5. You know, it's a 6, and yep, as you can see, let's probably say if you can go from the bottom half of the motion to the midpoint of the motion without any spot, then technically you can grind out that top half as well, because mechanically you get stronger as and when you come up. As simple as that. Now, after my chest has been exhausted by the dumbbell press, then I move on to the chest flies, and I probably do something like 2 sets of 10 to 15 reps over here. Over here, I just try to keep my spine as arched as possible and to try to get a huge little stretch at the bottom. And I ensure that the handles are in line with my shoulders, as simple as that, because your shoulders, your elbows, your wrist are basically stacked in one line. I try to keep my rib cage as high as possible, and I try to go as deep as possible, but while ensuring that my shoulder blades actually stay fixed. The cue that I like to use over here is like I maintain a subtle bend in my elbow. I maintain it, and I think that I'm hugging a really fat person, or like I'm hugging a tree. Like I'm trying to make circular motions with my arms, and I go all the way down because the real stimulus really lies at the bottom, basically. And yeah, I mean, it gives you a gnarly pump right here. It really feels good. So yep, that basically is it. I did 2 sets of this. And that basically is it. What else is next? Yep, after this, I probably do my favorite exercise, the decline hammer strength machine press. This I usually tend to do in the higher rep range. Now, things like machine exercises, there's no hard and fast rule as to what particular rep range you're supposed to be training in, but machines probably force you to stay in the right position, so I technically tended to train them in the 20 rep range. So over here, I did like last week I did 3 sets, but this time I was feeling good, so I added in like an extra set. I go like 3 seconds on the way down, 1 second pause, 1 second on the way up. I do take a pause on top, you know. But yeah, the cues that you can tell is I ensure that my chest is nice and high. I ensure that my elbows are in line with the handles. They're not too pulled up, not too pulled down. And I think of retracting my shoulder blades back, and that basically is it, you know. Yeah, also keep my legs spread out like really nice and apart. You know, that's what you can say. So the periodization scheme that I was following basically this week was I stick to the same program for something like 4 to 6 weeks. But in the first week I don't really hit failure. Second week I don't hit failure either. Third week I go 1 rep shy of failure, and in the last week I go up to failure. Now, as and when the weeks progress, the intensity increases. I go more and more closer to failure, but I don't really touch failure. And I progress my weights, I progress my reps, and I also added another extra 2 sets per workout. So this was the exercise on which I added that extra set, basically. You know, because I was feeling nice and good. There was a nice mind-muscle connection. There was not that much fatigue. You know, and my theory is like you don't want to add in extra sets on isolation exercises unless and until you've exhausted how much volume you can accumulate on like compound exercises, the exercises which give you a bigger bang for your buck, which actually make your fucking physique, you know. So yeah, this was basically my last set, but technically I did like 4 sets on this particular exercise. Yeah, I feel I like the mind muscle connection on this exercise like really fucking good, you know. So that basically is it. Then what did I do after that? The pump is like really good if you know how to do this properly. Ensure that the handles are in line with your nipple line. That's the cue that I tell everyone. Now, this is another favorite exercise of mine for the triceps. Now, my chest is really exhausted. Then, the second thing that I train, no, the fourth exercise that I train is dips. This is to exhaust the triceps. As you can see, that my elbows are slightly, well, more of like in line with the handles. The handles are pretty close. And I slightly lean forward, like literally lock out my elbows. I usually like to go higher in the rep range on this one. I usually do something like 2 sets, but on this exercise, I added another extra set. Basically, I go all the way up, all the way down, you know, and I tend to take like a soft little pause on top, and that basically is it. That's what I usually tell people: keep your elbows as tucked in as possible, and stay as stable as possible. You know, adjust the seat height in such a way that lets you go as deep as possible in the exercise without your shoulders collapsing forward, you know. So yeah, it's a really good exercise. That's what I tell people if you want to build like really good like mass around your triceps. So yeah. Yeah, I was experiencing like a really nice pump in my chest as well, because as you can see, like you do move around your shoulder joint a little bit, so you're gonna work the lower half of your chest a little bit. And this was literally me just. Um, this is basically my last set. I was like really exhausted. And then do note that after this exercise when my triceps were fatigued, then I went and did like a set of cable tricep extensions. Now those are isolation lifts. Isolation lifts are not really going to provide you that much, but it's good to add them. They provide way more stimulus without that much fatigue, you know. And yeah, I skipped that. Now after this, I've done like a Nautilus lateral raise. So it's like my shoulders are basically fucked, you know. So hence I chose a particular exercise that forces me to stay in the right position, and this actually gives me like a really good mind muscle connection. Adjust the height of the bench in a way that you directly push through your elbows instead of your your triceps or your biceps. Take like a nice little pause on top, go slow on the way down, pause at the bottom, pause on top. As simple as that, you know. And On this, I usually like to go low on the rep range, something like 10 to 15. But on like other shoulder exercises like dumbbell lateral raises, I like to go higher because on this you're like really fucking stable, so you can actually generate a shitload of force basically. So yeah, now on this, I don't like to do the traditional dumbbell lateral raises. Like to keep the bench at a slight 60-degree incline because that loads up the bottom half of the motion, and it also gives me like an added additional stretch component basically. You're gonna see this in a second, but a lot of the lateral raises they don't really load up your stretch part basically. But the stretch is where most of the money is at basically. As you can see, I look pretty jacked right here. No, I don't. Still in the process. I was just like really experiencing the pump right here. I like to go really light in the lateral raises, and I like to push my chest up, and I go all the way down till the dumbbells almost touch each other. So yeah, and I slightly go above 90-degree level. I mean, you don't have to, but yeah, I mean, you just feel pretty good. Try this variation, and I like to do seated because if you do standard, it takes most of the pressure out. I also like to do a few partial reps because that just adds in more stimulus. Guys, if you found this helpful, like, share, subscribe. Have a nice one.